food production sector. And if you're not 100% sure if you qualify for this business growth fund, just check the regulations on essential services. It's normally a good guideline if you fall in this category. Now, the criteria to qualify for both funds is as follows. You must be in trade before 29 February 2020 this year. You must be registered with CIPC, registered and compliant with SARS and UIF. Of course, you must be 100% owned by South African citizens. So your company must be owned by 100% South African citizens, and 70% of your workforce must also be South African citizens. And then before you can start claiming, you must be registered on the National SMME database. Now, if your business is not registered on that database yet, you can go to a website, smmesa.gov.za, and register your business there. And of course, lastly, you must prove that the business is negatively affected by COVID-19. Now, the application process for both these funds is, of course, you must apply online at CIFA's website at cifa.org.za. And then depends on for which fund do you apply for. If you apply for the Biz Growth Fund, then you must send your supporting documents to bizgrowth@cifa.org.za. And if you apply for the SMME Relief Fund, then you must send your supporting documents to SMME Relief @cifa.org.za. I'm sure we're going to send all these emails and contact numbers after the session to everybody. So the documents that you must upload to these two websites, or to these two email addresses, is first of all, you must send them your FICA documents, proof of residence, a certified ID copy of the owners and directors' IDs, 3 months bank statements. They need 3 months bank statements. Your latest annual financial statement, and or management statements. So if your business year end was, let's say, November 2019, then you must send that in, and then management statements up till now. Then, of course, a business profile, 6 months cash flow projections for the future in this time of COVID-19, a copy of your lease agreement, if it's applicable, and then a detailed breakdown on application for funds needed. Now, this is a very important portion of your application, because the persons that's going to approve your loan need to make informed decisions. So please be very thorough with this breakdown of the money and why you need money and why do you want to borrow money from CIFA. Now, there's also a fund or relief from CIFA itself. If you're an existing CIFA client, you can contact them at cifa.org.za to restructure your CIFA loan with them, your existing loan. And they will restructure it in such a way that your payment will become lesser, so that so that it can improve your cash flow during this troublesome time of COVID-19. Then we don't have information on this yet, But there's also an informal sector relief plan and a relief plan for the sole proprietors. Now, the department is still working on a solution, apparently, and it will be available this week. I had a discussion yesterday with a official at the department, and he promised me that we might get the announcement today. So for the informal sectors, those that's not registered on CIPC might get some good news during today. Then there's also the spaza shop support. Of course, spaza shops is a neat sort of a business, and the criteria to qualify for relief as a spaza shop, your business must deliver services or food in a community for the community. You need to have a permit from the municipality to trade. The business must also be willing to source goods from local suppliers in the municipality. Must meet sanitary requirements during lockdown. And the problem, and it have to be like this, is they have to have registered formal bank accounts. And then, of course, the small business department asks that they continue reporting for the least 1 year by submitting monthly management accounts. If you think you qualify for the spaza shop support, you can contact the small business department at www.dsbd.gov.za. Then the Department of Tourism also administrates a relief fund called the Tourism Relief Fund. In category to apply for this Tourism Relief Fund, all accommodation establishments can apply. All businesses that's in the hospitality and related services trade can apply, and travel and related services can also apply. It's a grant funding, so it's not a loan like the previous ones. It's a grant funding, maximum 50,000 per entity. Unfortunately, and I mean, I don't want to give my opinion on this, but the fund is administered by guidelines of the BBBEE. So it's guided by that. But of course, we must also remember businesses with a turnover less than 10 million, it's not part of the BEE formula. So applications, you must apply online at www.tourism.gov.za, and you can send them an email with your questions to COVID-relief@tourism.gov.za. COVID-relief@tourism.gov.za. Then the IDC, the Industrial Development Corporation, is also offering some relief for existing and new clients that operate in sectors within the IDC's mandate. Now, if you wonder if you fall in that IDC's mandate, please visit their website. They describe their mandate quite well there at idc.co.za. The enterprise must be also in distress because of COVID-19. You, as a business, you must demonstrate strong business fundamentals if you want to apply for the loan, only for those with a sustainable business plan. So they're adamant about it. You need to have a sustainable business plan. Your intervention plan, your business recovering plan must show that you will recover within 18 to 24 months. And again, South African-owned companies can apply. Only South African-owned companies can apply. Please visit their website at www.idc.co.za for more information. Then, of course, there's a few private initiatives as well. It's the Oppenheimer Family Trust, the Rupert Family Trust, and our major banks in South Africa also offer some relief for small businesses that need some finances over this COVID-19 period. Now, the Oppenheimer Family Trust is a South African future trust. They offer salary support for SMMEs that less than 25 million turnover. It's an interest-free loan over a five-year term, and most of the banks are the administrators. So if you need to go and look for relief from this fund, please go to your bank's website. You will find all the information there. Then the Sukuma Relief Fund of the Rupert family. They offer relief to registered companies and sole proprietors. For sole proprietors, there's a 25,000 non-repayable grant, and then for registered companies, it's interest-bearing loan at prime rate. Then, of course, all our big banks offer also repayment holidays. Visit your bank website. If you have a bond on your premises, they are willing to restructure your repayment term and interest, so that you also can improve your cash flow. So all that information is available on their website. There is important contact details which I will send through, and everybody can receive that via email. Then last but not the least, I just want to discuss what I call SMME Friends. There's two websites that's worthwhile visiting. That's the Small Business Institute, SBI, at www.smallbusinessinstitute.co.za, and also the Entrepreneurship to the Point at www.ettp.co.za. Now, the Small Business Institute, if you go to their website, they give you ample information about relief funds. And Entrepreneurship to the Point, there's some YouTube videos available where they have discussions with officials from various departments that explain the process and what you must do and don't have to do when applying for relief. Thank you. That is my story. I'm available at smme@mweb.co.za. So drop me an email if you have any more questions. Thank you.
Any other questions in the group chat that we need to address?
Can I?
Michael?
Okay, as maybe people can speak. I'm having difficulty reading the questions that are coming on the screen. But maybe people can be unmuted and come.
Can I ask one question?
Yeah,
yes.
I can see there's one. Sorry, there's one question. Will they receive the presentation? I'm sure it can be arranged.
Can I ask a slightly different question in terms of rather than labor, in terms of rentals and other agreement during lockdown that businesses cannot access? It doesn't seem to be covered in a lot of the contracts, but what happened in a case where actually legally we cannot access rental property, we cannot access internet access to the property. Some people are playing ball, but other companies are insisting on full payment, even though legally we cannot access those services.
Well, if I can answer you on that, it's entirely in terms of your lease. You need to go back to your lease and see if an act of God exempts you. A lot of the commercial leases, no, they don't. And some of the landlords are being quite heavy about it. I can't really take it much further than that. I know that the regulations are asking landlords to give people a break, but there's going to be a lot of litigation after this. I know that, for instance, some of the big companies have said they refuse to continue paying their rentals, and there's going to be a lot of fighting about it. But there is no answer to that question. It depends entirely on your lease and your landlord.
Yeah, well, because it seems to be very vague in terms of a lot of other contracts. So this thing doesn't seem to be covered, except there's a lot of things in terms of force majeure, but it's very difficult to understand what the applicability to this case, especially since.
And I've been reading some of the commercial leases, and the commercial leases basically don't even, you can't even stop because of force majeure.
Okay.
Any other questions? Let's have some oral questions. The questions that are coming through online, the written ones, maybe Lisa could send to Henro and I afterwards, and we'll answer them directly to people's personal email addresses.
Wait, I don't know if I can save the questions. So people must rather email me questions because I don't have record of everyone on the, I don't have everyone's email address. So they must email me their questions in order to get the presentation and all the details that Henro spoke about, please, afterwards.
So can I
Lisa,
just ask?
you can save the chat.
I have a little bit of a complex question. I don't know if I can just raise it orally now.
Sure.
Two things. So first of all, the way that my business is structured, we have a large team of subcontractors who work for us on a freelance basis. We're a massage company. And then we have a small staff complement that are on our payroll that we...
Oi.
There's a lot of companies and also really struggling. Other people.
Well, how do I unmute her? What's her name?
Can I unmute myself? There we go.
Yes, please.
So my question is, can I, as an employee of my own company, claim UIF for myself? So if I, as the employer, put in for myself, my manager, or any of my staff complement who are on the payroll, if I then take even a reduction in salary from my company, am I breaking the law? That's my first question. And then my second question is, in applying for the SMME relief from government, I put in my application, how long should we expect to hear from them? And I put an amount in there as covering just some sort of relief for my subcontractors so that I can pay them out something in the interim, even though they're not working, because they're on a no work, no pay situation. And unfortunately, the business is not in a position to support them if I don't have any kind of financial relief otherwise.
Let me answer the last part of the question. Michael will answer the first part of the question. I spoke to SIFA yesterday, to a lady there. They say 7 working days if they received all the support documents. So it's 7 working days if they received all the supporting documents. So they try, but they receive tens of thousands of applications per day. So, but they promised me 7 working days.
Okay, just let me step in over here. if you are self-employed and you're using independent contractors, you can, as a self-employed person, register yourself for UIF, and you can back pay. There's no problem. If you've never been registered before, you can back pay. It's only 2% of the payroll, in other words, of what you're supposed to be earning. And I would back pay for a year or 2 years, and then you can claim. There's nothing stopping you, especially if you have
up to
been
date.
retrenched.
It's all completely up to date. But my question is, so if I even had to take half of my salary and I've claimed for UIF, am I then breaking the law? Because that's my question is, can I claim UIF and take a smaller salary from my business, or should I be taking absolutely no salary from my business if I'm claiming from UIF?
No salary.
Yeah, you see, it depends if you're claiming from the TERS, which is the emergency fund, or if you're actually claiming UIF. If you want actual UIF from a retrenchment or a dismissal point of view, then there can't be any salary. But
Okay,
if in fact you are claiming through TERS, then you can claim a partial amount.
Okay. And you can do that directly on the UIF website?
Yes.
Okay.
It must go.
Thank you very
Henro
much.
will give you all the details of how to apply for TERS, the TERS fund, which is separate to the normal UIF.
But the website is very accessible. So it's also an online application. But if you need the hard copies, you can send me an email. I will send it through to you with the manual. There's a manual available that I can send through to you how to claim from the
I don't know if your email has been posted in the chat, Henro. Can you please tell it to us again so that I can post it in the chat for everyone?
Yeah. Can I my email address is SMME. So small, micro, medium enterprises. SMME@mweb.co.za. Melanie, you've got a nice smile.
May I ask a question?
Okay.
Sure.
I produce pickles. So I'm a small business, sole proprietor. I have food outlets that I supply, but I have not been able to get a permit. I have sent emails to a number of people, and I'm at my wit's end as to how to get a permit to trade, to supply the retailers.
Okay, can you email me separately on this? It's michael@bagraims.co.za, and I'll try and get that permit application in for you.
Thank you so much.
Can you just say that email again?
Michael@Bagraims, BAGRAIMS, M for Mary, S for sugar, .co.za, and I'll try and pass that on. Just to say, someone put in a question there, what does Henro charge? Both of us are members of parliament. We don't charge for this advice at all.
I wish.
Don't even pretend that we ask.
I did take 30% of my salary as well.
The best price ever.
Thank you so much. Thanks so much. I appreciate that.
Okay, one last question. David, one last question.
Yeah, it's David. I just wanted to ask you the email addresses given for the relief program and the other program, the first two that Henro mentioned. I've got the email addresses at info@mybindi.org.za and info@dsbd.gov.za. So I didn't have the CIFA addresses, email addresses like he had. And this is off the publication of the Small Business Development, from their website, smmesa.gov.za.
Yeah. I can send you that email addresses, and I can promise you that is the email addresses you must use if you want to upload your documents to CIFA for that two funds. That's the relief fund and, of course, the expansion.
All right. Thank you very much.
But it will be on the list, which Lisa will send to everybody. If you send the email to Lisa, you will receive that all the all the email addresses, and there's also contact numbers where you can phone them. Can't promise you will get through, but you can phone them.
I just wanted to ask another thing while I've got you on the line. You know, the hotel industry. The hotel industry is obviously the hotels are all closed. But in certain countries, the hotels are being used as quarantine centers, etc. So now let's take, for example, South Africa. All the restaurants and the hotels are closed, and they will be probably until the 3rd of May. And then some of them will open slowly. And obviously tourism is going to take a big hit because the airlines are from the infected countries like the UK, France, Italy, and America will not happen. So realistically, the hotels will not operate, I think, for quite a long time. So the question is, in that sector, obviously the tourism one is a different kind of relief. That's more for guest houses. But one needs to ride it out. So I would say that probably the best one to go for is that the relief fund, which is 5 below prime. Am I correct?
Yes. Yeah, the relief fund is definitely the best way to go, because remember I said it's across all sectors. So it's not, and as long as you if you're part of the, as long as your business is part of the definition of a small business, SMME. Yeah. So, and that you will also find on the small business development website, that definition. Of course, it's described in the Small Business Act. And it's for every sector, it's different. So there's no one-fit-all definition for a small business. Each sector got its own definition. So please visit their website and check where you will fit in. But definitely, you're right.